everyone, it's Wingspan TT, and today we're going to be talking about Duels of the Planeswalkers 2014. Now, this shouldn't have come as any surprise to anyone. I mean, yes, the exact day of the announcement, the fact that we're going to have a live demo available at PAX, and nope, I'm not at PAX, as you can tell. I'm not too happy about that. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is that Duels 2014 is going to be coming this summer, kind of in line with all previous Duels releases, which of course I've been following since the very beginning. And I'd just like to talk about some of the things that have been announced so far, some things that have been leaked and uncovered so far, basically what my opinion of how Duels 2014 is shaping up, how that's going to affect the overall reception of the game, I suppose, and just, I don't know, I want to hear what you think. I want to hear what you think about Duels 2014 so far. I mean, I guess so far we've seen the trailer that I previously posted on my channel. It looks like Duels is going to have a big focus on Chandra, so no more of that Jace stuff, no more of that boring Ajani stuff, or what's his name, Gideon with his little whip thing, like, nah, just whip people. Chandra, I guess, is a little bit more of an interesting character, although I would, of course, love to see some completely new direction, picking some character people aren't familiar with at all. But hey, you know, I'll take Chandra, I guess. I guess most people would. We've seen a lot of decks that have been previewed either at PAX or just mentioned press release or seeing screenshots. We see that there is obviously going to be a red deck that's Chandra's deck. So far the deck looks a little boring. We've seen a lot of it now coming out in videos. It looks like a lot of carryover from previous Duels, whether it's Duels 2009, 12, 13, and now into 14. There's some kind of green deck. Garrick's green deck. It's got to be there. I'm going to guess it has lots of big fat creatures, some kind of ramp, something like Overrun in it. I really would like to believe that I could be completely surprised with the contents of this deck, but I just don't see coming. We've seen an Avacyn themed deck, so it's got kind of this white human, maybe into angel gameplay that we've seen in the demo. There looks like hints of zombie deck that's possible, a demon deck with new Duels 2000, not Duels 2014, but Magic 2014 cards, including a new kind of Relentless Rats card where you can have an infinite number of these demon summoning creatures. If you sacrifice 6 of them, you get your 6/6 demons, so 6/6/6. You know, very, very interesting. There also looks like that there might be a Sliver deck, which that was actually on my list. If you've been to TopTierTactics.com, you know that Sliver decks, Elf decks, Affinity decks, these are all decks that were on my list of please do not put these in Duels 2014. Will it be balanced? I'm going to guess no. I think it's very hard to make a Sliver deck to that balance, and if you're new to Magic, you're just new in general, you don't know what Sliver deck is. Slivers were these creatures that started in Tempest block, which is actually the block that I first started playing Magic, and basically it's whenever Sliver comes into play, or as long as the Sliver's in play, all other Slivers in play get that ability. So if you play Sliver with flying, all other Slivers have flying. You play one with Trample, they all have Trample. You play a Sliver that's a really good singer, then you're just going to get a beautiful Sliver chorus. It's absolutely magnificent. Anyway, that mechanic lends itself to being absolutely broken, so if you thought things like Goblins decks or Elf decks or Vampire decks were powerful in the past because of their tribal elements, you have not seen a Sliver deck yet. I am very skeptical to see if it's not a top tier deck. I'm just going to be absolutely shocked, but hey, kudos to Wizards if they can pull it off. There's some new features in Duels of the Planeswalkers 2014, and we really don't have that much information. We do see it is coming out on Android. We know previously it's obviously on Xbox, PlayStation, PC. I think this is going to be coming out way too early to be any of the new consoles, PS4, Xbox 1080, or whatever the hell it's called. But now it's going to be on Android. Now, it has not been announced if it's coming out on Android tablets only, just because like it's on iPad but it's not on iPhone, so it's not just like an iOS release, or if it's just going to be reserved for Android tablets, or if it's going to be tablets and phones, or if phones, what kind of phones, I don't know. I don't have an Android phone anymore, so I guess it doesn't even matter. We've also seen that there's a couple little UI tweaks here and there to make things a little better. Like there's, for instance, an attack all or retreat all button now. So instead of, if you have some kind of huge army of creatures, you don't have to keep clicking A to attack, or just click on them all individually with the mouse, or even draw selection. You just hit attack with all or bring them all back at once. There's going to be a counter, so you can count how many cards in your graveyard. It looks like from some screenshots that there could potentially be a random deck selection feature, which is really cool. You know, it's not really that big of a deal, especially on PC, to just grab the wheel of decks, or on iPad to just spin the wheel and have the random number generator pick your deck for you. But I know a lot of Duels players are superstitious, don't trust the randomness of anything Duels with Planeswalkers, so it's nice if we actually have the option to pick random decks. The biggest deal, however, that I think is going to be absolute blow away, fun, runaway, super mode, is a new mode, Sealed Deck. Now previously we had Archenemy, we had Tutorial Mode, we had Plane Chase. I was not a big fan of any of these. I was okay with Archenemy, it was alright. But Sealed Deck is going to be so exciting. A, because it's going to introduce tons of new players to Sealed Deck, which is one of the most interesting ways to play Magic the Gathering, in my opinion. B, because it's going to hopefully at some level add some deck building strategy to Duels of Planeswalkers 2014 while still keeping it balanced. And you'll notice, once again, if you've been a reader at TopTierTactics.com, I had written my Duels of Planeswalkers 2014 wish list about a month ago, and Sealed Deck was one of the things on my wish list. So I was, you know, I'm not going to gloat, but I did call it. I called it. So if you are not familiar with Sealed Deck, it's basically different from regular Magic in this way. It's that instead of building a deck and bringing it to a tournament, or building a deck and playing with your friends, it's that you would show up to an event, or show up, you know, even with your friends. Everyone gets, you know, sealed Magic products, so it's booster packs, or booster boxes, or something like that. And you're basically gonna open them and then build your deck out of the cards you open. So money, it's not about who has the most money, who bought the most expensive cards. There is obviously some luck involved with opening a pack, and maybe you have good cards and maybe you don't. But that's kind of the fun of Sealed Deck. And then, of course, you have to build a deck on the spot. You can't sit there and plan. You can't test it a lot. You can't look up a deck on the internet. You have to know, what am I going to do with these cards I've opened right on the spot, and build a deck out of it. Of course, there's regular Sealed, where you're just opening the packs and using them. There's also Booster Draft, where you kind of open a pack, take one card out, pass it up to the person to your left until all 15 cards are taken by the people around the table. Then go into the next pack and repeating and repeating and repeating. I love Booster Draft, it's a lot of fun. I don't love Sealed as much, but it is still fun, and I really think this is a great inclusion for Duels 2014. In fact, if it's implemented well, and assuming it is for multiplayer, and especially if you could do it with 4 players or anything like this, it could become more popular than the regular free-for-all matches, and I think it would just blow everything out of the water. I'm really, really psyched for Sealed Deck. Now, of course, I always have my reservations. You know, right now, we've seen some of the cards in the red deck or white deck. I'm sure more of them will be spilling out soon. Cards don't look that interesting. I don't know what the unlocks are. It looks like the decks are a lot more basic than they were in 2013. And kind of going back to the, I want to say the deck construction strategy of the original Duels of Planeswalkers in 2009, I suppose it was. Those decks were all very simple. The game was still a lot of fun, but the decks were very simple. And then what happened was the unlock cards were a lot more of the complicated cards, the cards with more difficult to understand mechanics, the areas where you start seeing, okay, well, I could build this deck in this direction or this direction. And that's something I'm hoping that we see with the unlocks for 2014. Now, we know there's still going to be challenges. We know there's still going to be campaign mode. There's probably going to be revenge mode. Blah, 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 blah. But really, I want to see what these 10 decks are. If it's true we have a sliver deck, a red deck, a green deck, a white deck, a zombie deck, a demon deck, all right, that still leaves probably half the decks. Obviously, we probably will see a deck of every color, so we still need to see what gets done with blue, and what kind of multicolor theme decks. I would love to see another artifact theme deck like we've had in some of the previous Duels of Planeswalkers iterations, I suppose. But I guess we'll be finding out. Now, of course, in Wizards of the Coast, I hope you're watching. When you're thinking about, hey, you know, we have some early releases of this game, who should we share it with? Who was the person that was there with you from the start? Anyway, everyone, I'm Wingspan TET from TomStreetTactics.com. I hope that you are looking forward to Duels of Planeswalkers 2014. I hope that all of my dreams and wishes come true. I want to hear from you in the comments below what you're expecting from Duels 2014, what your hopes and dreams are, what your, anxieties are, what you think could go wrong, and what do you think will actually happen, what kind of decks will be released, what kind of DLC we'll see, and from Sea to Shining Sea, how it'll be. I'm Wingspan, and cheers.